I hadn't even reached the second sentence of my valedictorian speech when the microphone died. At first, I thought it was a technical glitch. The class behind me snickered. I glanced side stage. My guidance counselor, Mrs. Bishop, frowned and motioned for me to hurry up. "We're on a schedule," she hissed, not turning off her forced smile for the crowd. I couldn't tell if anyone cared. I pressed my lips together and looked down at my card, the words "Tomorrow we build" bold at the top. "Just wrap it up," someone in the faculty whispered, not bothering to lower their voice. So I tried, stammering through the gist. "I believe we can create anything if we work together. I'm starting a software company. We can solve real problems, thank you." The applause was thin, almost polite, if not for the one outright hoot from the rear. Brian Garcia, my cousin, class clown, future insurance agent. "Gonna make the next Facebook," he called, laughter then louder, uncontrolled. My hands shook as I walked off the stage. I fought the flush rising up my neck and bit down on my rage until it almost choked me. That night at my parents' house in East L.A., the living room overflowed with relatives. My abuela, hunched in the center of our brown plaid sofa, patted my wrist. "Sophia," she said, her accent thick and vowels warm, "maybe instead you get a job at the law office with your Tio. Good money, benefits." "Abuela, I want to try this." My dad, arms crossed, didn't hide his skepticism. "Start a company, what do you know about business? No one in the family did this. First to college and now you try to be Mark Zuckerberg." The unspoken implication, don't reach higher than you're given. "Give her a break, Martin," my mother chimed in, but it sounded habitual, weak. Later, my cousins circled in the backyard by the lemon tree, drinks in hand. Brian called out, "Sophia, what's your app again? Is it like you tap it and get money?" "No, it's enterprise," I started. Ashley interrupted. "She can't even explain it. Does it even work?" Restraint kept me from screaming. I refilled cups, watched fireworks over someone else's neighborhood, and promised myself I'd show them. Not for the first time, I wished for another family, anyone who'd listen, who'd say something other than grow up or be realistic. I spent the rest of the summer coding in my childhood bedroom, hunched over a hand-me-done MacBook, fingers numb to all but the lines of code that appeared well past midnight. I contracted with a friend, Nick, who'd graduated 2 years before. We called ourselves Catalyst. Early days, no money, but we knew what we wanted: to make collaboration effortless, strip away the walls and clutter that slowed real work. But we weren't ex-Google, weren't Stanford dropouts. No one wanted to invest. Move back in with my parents, work out of the garage. Classic. I bartended at night, poured drinks for people whose dreams had faded into low-lit haze. Tips covered ramen and my part of AWS. My parents stopped asking about my business. When would I get a steady job at a firm, like my cousins, like everyone else? My abuela grew frail, stopped suggesting anything. Instead, she smiled as if I were already gone. When I did talk about my work, nobody paid attention. At Thanksgiving, I tried describing a new feature, automated workflow triggers, something that would save entire teams hours a week. My uncle nodded, not listening, spooning cranberry sauce onto his mashed potatoes. "So you make emails then? Everyone gets emails," he said. Laughter, always laughter, like the world's most boring sitcom. But I built Catalyst anyway. Nick left after a year, exhausted from juggling his day job and our project. I sobbed in my car after the call, rage building into a physical, burning cold. I didn't quit. Instead, I found 2 talented engineers in a Slack group, Samia and Maya, each desperate enough to take equity instead of cash. Nights bled into mornings. I missed birthdays, missed weddings. My mother left voicemails that sounded less like encouragement and more like prayers. 2 years in, Catalyst had 20 users. 3 years and we got our break. A tiny local digital agency signed up, then a second. The feedback loop began, the code improved. We bootstrapped everything. 4 years, then 5. Funders wanted hockey stick growth or a whisper of virality. We had neither, just steady, patient improvement. I lived in fear and fury. Rage at every bank statement that ended in 2 digits and every investor call that ended with, "You're too early," or "This isn't a real pain point." I worked harder. Sometimes my hands shook from too much coffee and too little sleep. I didn't see my family. I missed my abuela's funeral because launch day couldn't be moved, the only time my mother truly sounded angry. "You have one family, Sophia, apps are for children." But in the 6th year, something shifted. The pandemic made remote work the norm just as our platform matured. A mid-sized media company found us by accident. Within a month, they migrated all their project tracking to Catalyst. They raved about our simplicity. Positive reviews trickled through the grapevine, then came in a flood, 10 signups a day, then hundreds. My phone buzzed constantly, impossibly. Within 8 months, Catalyst was the backbone for 30,000 remote employees. I hired, built a team, found comfort in the buzz of Slack channels and the whir of high-rise AC. Our revenue soared. Investors finally returned my calls, their scorn replaced by interest. Of course we saw this coming, one told me. Lies, but I took the check. I moved out of my parents' house, leased a downtown loft, windows open to the city. I bought a used Honda, the first thing I'd ever owned not handed down. The press wrote about the Latina CEO who refused to quit. Sometimes strangers emailed me stories of how Catalyst kept their teams alive when everything else fell apart. My mother sent a card with her looping cursive. "We're proud of you, come home soon." Home, the word triggered a hollow pang. After so many years, did it make sense? My father called to ask sheepishly if I could talk to Brian about changing careers. Turns out insurance wasn't all that. I promised nothing but let him tell me about his heartburn, his new diet. Then one sticky August, word came. My high school planned its 20th reunion, a Hall of Fame gala honoring distinguished alumni. The flyer arrived in the mail with the principal's signature embossed at the bottom. They wanted me to give a speech. I laughed truly helplessly. For the first time in months, I told myself I'd go. Not out of obligation, but to settle something inside. I wasn't searching for validation anymore, I'd outgrown that. But I wanted to look those faces in the eye to show them Catalyst wasn't emails, wasn't a joke, wasn't a fading dream. I didn't sleep the night before. I flew into Lax with a duffel bag and an Apple Watch I barely knew how to use. I rented a Camry, drove down the wide, familiar boulevards, sunset glinting off glass. My parents' house looked the same, white stucco, hydrangeas in a cracked pot. My mother opened the door wearing her faded Dodgers shirt, brow pinched in worry. "You look thin," she said, then hugged me so tightly I almost wept. My father appeared, shuffling in socks, balder now, soft eyes avoiding mine. "You came back," was all he said. I stayed in my old room, the posters curling from the walls, a dusty trophy from the Science Olympiad on the dresser. I inhaled the warm, citrusy air, let myself grieve for time lost. My mother stood in the doorway, hands clasped. "Your abuela, she would be so proud," she said. The reunion was at the school gym, which smelled of floor polish and nostalgia. Streamers sagged above the tables. I checked my name on the list, ignored the stares. The first person to approach me was Mrs. Bishop, older now but with the same tight smile. "Sophia, we're glad you're here. I must say we didn't expect such success." I let the words float, a backhanded compliment. I just nodded. Inside, the cliques resurfaced like sediment after a rain. Ashley, Brian. They clustered near the buffet, a mix of old jokes and new anxieties about waistlines and tuition. When Brian saw me, his eyes widened. "Hey, it's Sophia, Silicon Valley," he called. "Remember your speech from senior year about your big world-changing app?" The group laughed again, not quite as loud, more uncertain. I didn't answer. Instead, I walked past them to the stage, waiting for my name to be called. The alumni chair worked through the schedule, honoring a surgeon, a city councilwoman, a fashion designer whose business was now defunct but nobody dared mention it. Finally, Sophia Ortiz, founder and CEO of Catalyst. "Please come up." It was my cue. I stood, every step measured. I didn't bring notes. I faced the audience and let them see the years, lines under my eyes, the fatigue, yes, but also my calm. I pulled out my phone, mirrored the screen on the projector, an app demo, Catalyst's dashboard, live data from a multinational client we just onboarded. Color-coded workflows ebbed and flowed, timetables updating in real time. "This is what I built," I said, my voice was steady. People said it couldn't work, they laughed, said nobody would use it. They told me to grow up, stop dreaming. But now teams in 100 countries, engineers, journalists, non-profits, schools, manage their lives here. In 10 minutes we help solve problems teams used to spend days on. It means families have more time together. It means people like us, immigrants, first-generation outsiders, can build something from nothing. A hush fell. Eyes fixed on the screen, lines moving, tasks resolved. I heard the gasp as our user count ticked up live, 54,001, then another and another, a quiet but irrefutable wave. I couldn't resist, not after all these years. If there's anyone who still thinks this is just email, my inbox is open. Laughter now, but no bitterness. As the applause rose, I let the applause wash over my skin. My rage was gone, replaced by something heavier and lighter at once, a sense of wholeness I hadn't felt in years. Across the crowd, I saw my mother pressing her hands to her mouth, my father standing next to her, red-eyed, his usual composure absent. Later, as the gym emptied, Brian approached me, hands in his pockets. He looked smaller, thicker around the middle, a patchy beard framing his downturned mouth. "So you really did it," he said. That's huge, Sophia. Would you maybe have coffee with me sometime? I have this idea." "No, really. I know you probably hear that all the time, but I'm serious." I smiled, not with pity but with a strange affection. "Sure. Tell me about it." He brightened, shuffled his feet. "Yeah, okay, I'll text you. You look good, by the way." I found my parents by the exit. My mother hugged me again, clinging tight. My father just nodded, then said, "Maybe we weren't fair to you." His hand trembled on my shoulder. "You worked harder than anyone, I see it now." I let myself believe him. We left the gym beneath the warm Los Angeles sky, cicadas humming like distant applause. In the car, I saw our reflection in the windshield, older, tired, but somehow mended. Driving through those familiar streets, I didn't feel like an outsider anymore. I rolled down the window and let the air fill my lungs, the city at night alive with possibility. At home, I found my abuela's old rosary on my pillow, left there by my mother. I held it between my fingers, the beads cool and solid. I didn't pray, but I whispered, "I'm home." For the first time in years, I believed it. The fear, the anger, the longing to prove myself, they faded, replaced by something new, the power of having come back, changed but still whole. The world I left behind hadn't wanted what I became, but I had become it anyway. The only thing left was to live it. The next morning, coffee in hand, I sat on the porch. The city stretched before me, endless and bright. Catalyst buzzed to life on my phone. Users in every time zone needed me. But for now, I closed my eyes and listened to the familiar sounds. My mother in the kitchen, my father turning the sports page, someone watering the lemon tree. I'd carry my work everywhere, but I could belong here too. I'd fought my way out, now I could return, not in defeat but in triumph, quiet and real, the kind that lasts.